550 years ago, the single brightest light in all the innumerable universes sat crafting a cloak with muscles, bones, organs, and several layers of skin. He had been fashioning such outfits since before time became a relevant concept, before memories had been outfitted in any of the creatures he'd planted on the various planets in various universes. His thoughts were his hands. What he conceived became the reality of all of the world. He powered each body he made with just a drop of his essence. Humans began to recognize that there was a morsel of their creator in them. They called this the soul, the Atma, a tiny piece of the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. People chose to either let this essence spread and consume their existence, or they exiled it into a corner of their body from which its screams for righteousness could no longer be heard. This new body cloak he was fashioning was being created on special demand. Masses suffered at the hands of corrupt leaders, while those in tune with the great Creator abandoned the suffering of this world and hid out in calm nooks of nature where the voices of pain would no longer disturb their ears. The spirits of the suffering people were broken shards that could no longer collect and rejoin to be whole again. Paramatma heard the cries of these tattered souls and planted the answer to all the pain in the womb of a woman living in the heart of Punjab, the land of 5 rivers. Her name was Tripta, a mother whose womb would produce the thirst quencher of the world for generations to come. She nurtured this seed with love and blessings that emanated from her kindred spirit, for only a soul as pure as hers could be worthy of housing the Almighty, also known as Vaheguru, God, Allah, Bhagwan, the one with innumerable names. Tripta and her husband Mehta Kalu must have felt a strong connection with the Supreme Soul during the 9 months of the creation process. They must have felt that the child she carried would someday carry the pain and suffering of the world in his heart as he traveled across faraway lands, healing every inch of the earth with his footsteps. The midwife assisting with labor and delivery said she saw a blinding light as this radiant and calm baby exited the womb. How could there not be a blinding light as God stepped into the cloak he'd been fashioning for himself? The full moon of the night dimmed to pay its respects to the radiating face of this divine newborn. They named him Nanak, the brother of Nanki. The body of Nanak was fashioned with the same elements that the Almighty used to create all other beings, but instead of powering it with a drop of his essence, he immersed himself into every atom of that body. That must have been the blinding light, the union of the Supreme Soul with his specially created human soul. Even though the human form of Nanak walked the earth 5.5 centuries before I was granted this body, I feel that I must have known Nanak in one of my births. Perhaps I was an ant who witnessed the dust rising and resettling with each step he took, or maybe I was a plant, unable to run and fall at those feet out of reverence. There must be some bond that's pulled me through the cycle of births and deaths into a life that's connected to the faith he started in 1469. There must have been an atom that was supercharged at my proximity to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. In turn, that atom must have snowballed energy in a way that would allow me, along with millions of others, to today sing the hymns he uttered from those holy lips. From the time that my toddler ears began hearing stories of Nanak's childhood, I began to befriend him, learning lessons from each spoken chapter. He's been a part of that age of innocence, feeding it with his magic and awe. He was my memorization assignment as I stepped out of that first phase of innocence. I've known him as my Nanak my whole life, just too shy to try to make him my own in that way. Over time, my Nanak became a teacher, My ears listened to his words, repeated his teachings like institutionalized lessons. I began to forget him in the back of my memory when I smiled. I let my Nanak shift into simply being the first Guru of the Sikhs, the other, someone I no longer thought I knew well enough to claim as mine. Perhaps I stopped caring, but thought he wasn't listening to my cries and screams of pain. But perhaps I wasn't calling out to him at all. I don't know if I was asking him for help, but he heard me when I had grown deaf to my own inner voice. Without my realizing, he had been listening all along, strengthening me even when I numbly offered prayers I had memorized like a parrot. Tongue and lips forming the right words, but mind wandering unlimited distances away from my Nanak. But no matter how far my thoughts strayed, my Nanak was everywhere with me, invisible and silent as my own awareness of my mind's travels. They say that Guru Nanak Dev Ji took off his traveler's clothes and donned the clothes of a householder and farmer in Kartarpur until he left this body in 1539. But I don't believe that. My heart doesn't believe he really took off his traveling clothes. He continued walking with humanity through the 9 gurus who succeeded him in similar human form until 1708. But my Nanak walks today with each and every person who has ever made him their own. He walks with us through his words, he walks with us through his ideas, and he walks with us through his compassion and love. He has been my Nanak even when I didn't think I was worthy of being his. He is my Nanak, and he is your Nanak.